Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Respected President of the session, Honorable Chief Guest, distinguished guests on the dais, my teachers and now colleagues, the faculty colleagues and researchers of this university, and students, ladies and gentlemen. While talking about this issue, a lot of issues that Brother Abu Bakr has introduced to you, some of the flags which we raise on this issue around Assam and citizenship. But primarily it's an identity issue, legal issues. And when these legal issues are concerned, two of the luminaries are sitting here. Professor Faizan Mustafa and Janab Hafiz Rashid Ahmad are competent enough to give you the light from the point of view of law. So without getting into an area, I'm a corporate law person. I look into this as a sociological perspective. I've been studying this over a period of time, and this October, for the first time, Indian Institute of Advanced Studies in Shimla will be meeting with the minorities of India, Bangladesh, Pakistan on an issue of redefining minorities. How do we define minorities? How the rights of minorities are seen and felt in Dhaka, in Lahore, and in India. We have to look into how we have been treated. So my perspective is completely different. Being a management professor, we look at the risk management. What are going to be the risks? So I'll be looking a bit ahead of the issue in hand. I'll be looking into what is going to happen for the people who might not be, unfortunately, successful in establishing their citizenship. Once the name has been dropped, and for a person outside Assam, even when I entered this institute this university in 1987, I also faced this question. When you utter your name as, even in Calcutta airport, while going in the CIPF Jawan, know your name, Baharul Islam, going to Assam, his first suspect is I might be a Bangladeshi. I have never seen Bangladesh till I was 45. So physically I did not see Bangladesh. So it is a kind of stigmatization which is now doubled with a systemic otherization of a particular community. And it has a deep-rooted social, economic and political roots. In our childhood in 60s, early 70s, it started, late 70s, it started around 1979 with Mangalday and other this historical perspective. It started with Bohiragato Khedao, outsider go back. Slowly it became somewhere over a period of time transmitted into now it is only Muslim go back. It started with outsider who is coming from outside. So it included Marwaris and all other things. If you remember some of the names in the initial days. So somewhere it came down to Bengali Khedao, Bengal Kheda Andolan, Bengali speaking. And then, thanks to the repeated visit of the now member of the Margdarshak Mandal, at that time he was actually he was reaping those seeds there. He gave this twist around 80s that it is only Muslim Kheda Andolan. So rest of them. Fortunate for us that the Assamese society, mainstream Assamese society has come together against this amendment where it says that except Muslim others are welcome. They have unitedly come and very strongly protested against this, and not only Assam and the rest of the northeastern states also. So from here, what is we are going to look at? And what we have faced, Aman is here on the grassroots. Hafiz Rashid Chaudhry has been working on this for decades now, the doyen of fighting for these cases forever. What we are looking forward to is a large number of people becoming what is called stateless people, stateless person. Somewhere down the line, it is a sociological impact. You see, the problem was when these people came, generations ahead, their great-grandfathers might be from East Bengal. Our part of the Assam, if you can distinguish between ourselves sitting from Assam, all of us, with those, me and Hafiz Saab, we belong to that part of Assam, which were by geography was part 3.5 police station area of Sylhet district, where when the partition happened, it was taken geographically within Assam. So we are indigenous people, we never moved from anywhere, from one place to another. So our great-grandfathers, everybody's name are in NRC. My father was 12 years old, and I could first time see my great-grandfather aged 125 was alive when NRC 51 was being made. His name I could see. So we do not feel that much, but the people who are living in other part of Assam, in Gwalpara and Borpeta, who's their third generation maybe, so their grandfather, great-grandfather might have migrated for various other reasons, and even some time to, at one point of time, to boost the agricultural production of Assam. But when communities like this come, migration, my 2 years of research in advanced studies, one is this on migration. So migration, when it becomes, initially the host community feel that these people will come and do this, produce rice for us. Over a period of time, they, beside producing rice, they were supplying maid servants. So I could see, perhaps I will not see a woman half-clad, forget about Islamic tradition of parda and all, half-clad, jumped together, cattle-like moving in front of my home in Hatigaon in Guwahati, bundled in truck by contractors as construction laborers. Who are these people? They have been moved and uprooted because of the riverine less of landlessness, and obviously a huge chunk of land is destroyed by river erosion in Brahmaputra. So over a period of time, when the host community comes to see that a part of those working force is entering into an area where they are more empowered, they are occupied. So they are happy if you are pulling their rickshaws, if they are happy if your children are working as cheap labor, maid servant, drivers, workers, construction workers. They are happy. But the moment when a Surat Ali Sheikh or Raman Adud become a magistrate, officer, civil service, that time it becomes painful. And then the host community become antagonistic. This has been a pattern across the world. The near closeness of our position in Assam, and these are the risks we are analyzing now, that in spite of our having conferences and the innumerable fights which Hafiz Rashid Chaudhry Sahab, many lawyers, people like Abu Bakr brother, Abu Bakr, Aman Adud are fighting, in spite of they are coming from outside, inside, we all coming together during the NRC people. We do not have enough money and resource to fight those cases every time. Sometimes we feel so helpless. I have been witness to some of the cases which one of the party is fighting in. There are multiple organizations, they are fighting the cases. But every time it comes down to a huge cost of fighting those cases. And if you do not fight up to the Supreme Court spending so much money, even minimal legal justice you don't get. I remember a case where we were so helpless, the party which I was associated with, it was funding some other cases, so it was like hesitant to put open another case, means another money. We Googled around and we found address of Dushman Dave and his phone number and his address. We reached there just like walking into. Fortunately, in that case, Dushman Dave did not take a single penny and we won the case. Simple case it was. But it was very difficult even to come to Delhi and knock at the door of the highest court of the land. So while legal cost, economic cost, and the personal psychological trauma of the people, victims, are too much, which other speakers will say, Raman is very close to those cases. What I look into it as a kind of socio-economic perspective which we are going to face very soon. What will be the fate of these people? Today or tomorrow we have to either legally, citizenship amendment bill, as you know, it has just lapsed. But it might come back. We don't know which government is coming back. It might come back with full force. And the people who are declared foreigner, and again declared unfortunately foreigner they did not get any relief in the High Court level, where they go? How many people, how many organizations, how many of us are strong enough to fight those cases? So we are looking forward to what I look into when I speak to a gathering like this. I not only look into academic researchers who take academic interest of a group of section of a people within the country who are facing, sitting in Aligarh thinking about Assam. We're so thankful to you for doing that. But at the same time, particularly law faculty students and even others should come forward. We should create groups. We have so many, every morning, to delete WhatsApp messages has become a tremendous cost in our life and time nowadays. How many groups we have? We have sort of groups in Assam. How many people can volunteer, can do their internship? We can host them perhaps. How many people will walk those miles in interior Assam, which I could not do perhaps. So we need a large kind of motivational force to come forward from the rest of the community. Many have responded. NRC have made us feel that there are so many good souls around the country who called me up to ask for an address. I passed it on, Havisab address, I passed on various addresses, other workers, someone's number and others' number, that I'm in Uttarakhand, I cannot go, but in Guwahati, these are the people who contact. People called up and say that we want to help, we want to volunteer. Many places we could not support those people in many of their innovative ideas, the technological support they wanted to do, because we could not provide those resources, unfortunately. But this is the time perhaps we prepare ourselves. As in management we say, the risk analysis, and when you start a project, the one thing we do very critically for the success is that whatever risk will come, you count those risks. In worst case scenario, what will happen to us? So I'm looking at something like post-truth. Now it is done. 40 lakhs people, they were thinking like hundreds of people, Dhubri, everybody is a Bangladeshi, and now the Dhubri has a very small number. The guy who becomes member of parliament from there or from Barpeta or from other places, the difference of their winning is much larger than even the people who have been detected or they are not in the draft. Many of them will come back. So we are looking at a group, and there is an intention here, and that's why I go back. When the host people become antagonistic, because you are moving forward. So as you can see, it is at the nearest or closest parallel is Mexican in America. We will not push you back, we will try to push you back. We know you are here. We don't give you paper because you serve as cheap labor in the market. So this is where we are standing now. Hasina Wajid continues to say there is nobody here. Government of India assures her that no madam, don't worry, we will not send anybody there. Then what you will do? No answer to the Supreme Court, no answer in the government side, no answer to anybody. So you are just trying to create a perpetual supply of cheap labor in Assam. The guy will not vote, he will not ask for education, he will not go to any bank for loan to start a shop. Obviously he cannot ask for job. But he will survive as a nameless, faceless person on the earth. But then, because he is a human being, he has to survive, he will do work and much cheaper. I cried that day when I was sitting in a resort for a meeting outside of Guwahati in Sonapur. And I was sitting with the political leader, with an MP who is representative of that part of the Assam. And those workers in that Sonapur tea resort, when they saw him, obviously they know him and they wanted to come and salam and do this thing, pay their respect or meet him at least. The manager of that resort, we hired that resort, all 10, 20 rooms we hired, almost the resort was full, it was blocked by us, reserved by us. But he did not allow those workers from Lower Assam to meet their local representative during the daylight. You cannot come out but you continue to work. He has put a dark, screen like construction screen, safety screen, and beside that you work. At 10:30, they knocked at our door only to do, salam and all. And they say that the local police station, the hotel, the resort manager, they are happy to employ them. But they don't want other guests to see that these people from Lower Assam are employed. So they have prevented them to come out and meet their local representative, whom they, out of love or respect or interest, they wanted to see. So this is what they want this group of people to be invisible. So that is where we are looking into. And my appeal is that while we will know into the legal cases and all, the law of statelessness, the 1954 convention and 1961 convention on the stateless persons, these are not ratified by India. India's laws are the weakest in terms of providing any kind of legal rights to. In fact, it denounces that. So stateless people will be very difficult. It is unlike an Indian being stateless in Italy. I remember 2008 when I was in FAO conference in Italy. I met on a local telephone booth a Karelian, a Malayali guy, and he invited me to come to their meeting tomorrow. At that point of time, 2006, October 28, I saw 8,000 Malayali Kerala people in Italy without papers, stateless. And they were sitting in the heart of Italy asking for their papers. Why they could do so? And Assamese stateless cannot do that. So we need to look into that, and perhaps in different platform, with our member of parliaments who will be coming, through them and other member of parliament, organizations like Brother Abu Bakr working with civil liberties organizations, we should come together and find out what is the next step, because there will be hundreds and thousands of children. Indian law, Fazan Bhai and others will explain very well. They don't get citizenship that easily because one of the parent is illegal, so they don't get by birth, though it is called by birth, but it does not happen by birth. I will leave you with the thought for the other people at many places. So we have to embrace ourselves and plan and strategize. This is the risk coming, and where we are standing. Where is the legal support group? Whether Aligarh can produce a group and join people in Assam, in law societies there, local law colleges, they can tie up. So sociology, social work people can work. So many people, they can start up. Can we alert everybody? This is a time when we fight together. I live with the thought, many people ask me, and it is a very bad issue. When you see an educated Muslim in an airport or in a train station, some of the pet questions we have, there's a kind of, in our exams we have some question very common. So our syllabus common question is why there are so many babies, why you marry so many times, and all those things. Some of the common question we face ever. I don't think we will ever stop being asked about this question. So the number is also fearful. The number comes. A guy who has been fudged statistical figures to give this theory that by 1950, 1939, Muslims will be largest in India, and he published those papers. He's a professor of statistics. So after 65, he is a vice chancellor of a central university in Assam. Writing those papers and giving those theories, actually he has been awarded the prize for that. But what he did not understand is this is a natural process. Sociological understanding and the theory which comes in now, we study across the world in terms of demography and population, is called revenge of the cradle. Revenge of the cradle starts from post-World War situation when the French Quebec in Canada, it started in Canada when French-speaking Canadians were being minoritized or being less in small number, being less because the Anglo-Canadian, or you can say English-speaking Canadians, they captured the country and they were trying to push them in the corner. How they came back was that producing so many babies. Average family, the babies per family was 15. And it was a movement, the church fathers, they led a movement that we will be very less, so you should produce more babies so that we can take revenge on this English-speaking occupier, so that we can survive demographic threat. But over a period of time, sociologists, so that's the revenge of the cradle story. But over a period of time now, sociologists have established that this is a natural phenomenon. Whenever you will push anybody from the developmental cycle, give them less education, less access to health, and less access to economic upgradation, it is a God-given formula or a God-given tendency that community will take revenge on you by producing babies. Look at how many professors or lawyers or doctors have how many babies. Take the average and take the average baby numbers among rickshaw pullers and small-scale workers or poor people. Immediately you'll come to know. Officially we can say that they are less educated, so their family planning is not so good and all. Family planning is not in that. The moment you become an IIM professor and if you have 20 babies, you have to accept. That is an embarrassment to everybody. So the automatic stopping starts working somewhere in the mind. Then suddenly, you become so conscious of one wife that you cannot think, even in dream, think of two. But somebody in village worker, he might have one in Gwalpada and one in Guwahati. Who cares? He will not make headlines. The IIM professor will make headline if he has to. So in spite of the dreams, it can never be fulfilled. So at one point of time, this is how, and this is why you run across among the population, in black population, in all countries. Now it is an established theorization that statistically, that whenever a community, and it will happen if you do the same survey in Chhattisgarh among the poorest of the communities, you count the number of babies, it is more. It is a God-given tendency to take revenge. When these people came to the work, cutting the long story short, when these people were brought under Grow More Food program, or some of the people, they just came to work hard, produce barren lands of Assam and make more rice. Where they were given space? They were given space in the riverine areas of Brahmaputra. They were not placed in the mainland Dibrugarh or Shivsagar. Mainland good places were reserved for the local people. Line system was there. Legally they were asked they have been space in the backyard of their house. And that backyard is Gwalpada, Dhubri, Barpeta. And today, when you give the person the backyard and you keep him poor, the number of children per abysmally high number of kids per teacher in those areas. You give them less access to education. It took 70 years to have first medical college in those districts. Why? I asked a lady 5 years back in the riverine area, when it took me 2 hours by a river, by a boat to reach one village for one meeting, and then I saw a lady with a baby playing just on the sands of Brahmaputra, and I asked her, "Madam, what happens? My home, my office, everybody has 4 or 5 doctors on call and their numbers are saved. We get so panicked if my baby even have a rash. And how do you survive this? It took 2 hours to come from Dhubri to this place." I think she is more God-fearing than me. She trusts in God much more than me. I trust in AIMS and Apollo and whatever, I don't know. Allah forgive me. Just say Allah jane ki ho. So if you do not give that lady that access, you cannot punish her for making more babies. If you keep Assam's largest, one of the large community, because they are Muslim origin or East Bengal origin, at the back door or backyard of your country, God forbid, indigenous people of Assam, this message they must read, that the revenge of the cradle is knocking at your door, and no matter what legal and social and political force you do, this revenge, which is much larger, and it will come back and hit you so hard. At that point of time, you cannot distribute your wealth or economic system well, because America could not do it with Mexicans, Italians could not do with Romans, you cannot do with large and millions of Assamese people. Thank you very much.